In order today, I would like to have our outgoing Commissioner present, lead us in a pledge of allegiance. Tyler McDuffie, if you would say a prayer for us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, thank you for this day and thank you for this fellowship within your name. Please, Lord, bless everyone here and continue us to always follow in your grace, Lord. Let your light always be upon us and help us to make the decisions through you, God. Amen.
Amen. Now call this meeting of the Port St. Joe City Commission to order. Our first order of business will be our consent agendas. We have a regular meeting on 6/5, a special meeting on 6/13, and a special meeting on 6/14. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Brazette.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ashbrook. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried. All right, at this time, I would like to ask Commissioner Brazette if he would stand up, please. Jim? Commissioner Brazette has served this city well. 10 years, is that correct? He's been a dedicated public servant. He's helped everybody whenever he could. He's made some good decisions over his period of time being here. We may not have always agreed on every item, but we can agree to disagree, and that's what I love about this man. So with that said, we're going to present this plaque to you tonight, sir. It says, presented to William Rex Brazette in recognition of your 10 years of dedicated service to the city of Port St. Joe as City Commissioner, June 17, 2008 to June 19, 2018. By the citizens of Port St. Joe, June 19, 2018. Rex,
Thanks,
you've done well. Let's get ready to say just a few words.
Well, more time flies when you're having fun. That's for sure. And I'd like to say this for Scott, because these guys up here already know that when you're elected, your whole family's elected. And so I'd like to thank my family for standing beside me, and especially my wife Nancy, who's been a commissioner for 10 years, but she hasn't been able to vote. So especially putting up with my things at home that pertain to the city that she shouldn't have to. But anyway, we've done a lot. We saved the lighthouse, and think it's going to be a beacon to the future of our city. We opened a brand new water plant that's built for the future of St. Joe. That it was a little difficult to start with, but thanks to our guys at the water plant, we got that going. We replaced all the water lines in the city. We've got sewer to St. Joe Beach. We bought 800 customers from Beacon Hill for $250,000 sewer customers. We've got sewer all the way to Barrier Dunes. We've got water all the way to Overstreet. We go all over the county with a small staff, and we've certainly done more with less. And you know, I'm proud of the staff. I've enjoyed working with them. Especially proud of our financial situation that I'm leaving the city in. So Don't get any ideas, guys. We got a little money in the bank, and let's keep it that way, because we've never, in my tenure, we have not raised the millage at all. Again, we do more for less, with less. So with that, I'd like to leave you with one of my favorite quotes. It's from Winston Churchill, and he says, "You make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give." So thank you very much.
Okay, now we'll go along with the inductions. We're going to start with Commissioner Eric Mason. Induction. Do y'all have that on? Did I miss something? You're swearing in instead of induction. Maybe that's what I did wrong.
Left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States,
the Constitution and government of the United States,
the state of Florida,
the state of Florida,
and the city of Port St. Joe,
and the city of Port St. Joe,
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified
to hold office
to hold office
under the Constitution of the state,
under the Constitution of the state,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully perform
and faithfully perform
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Port St. Joe City Commissioner,
of Port St. Joe City Commissioner,
on which I am now about to enter.
in which I am now about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Commissioner
Thank
Lake.
you.
Raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States,
of the United States,
the state of Florida,
the state of Florida,
and the city of Port St. Joe,
and the city of Port St. Joe,
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified
to hold office
to hold office
under the Constitution of the state,
under the Constitution of the state,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully perform
and faithfully perform
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Port St. Joe City Commissioner,
of Port St. Joe City Commissioner,
upon which I am now about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. Flowers. All right. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States,
the Constitution and government of the United States,
the state of Florida,
the state of Florida,
and the city of Port St. Joe,
and the city of Port St. Joe,
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified
to hold office
to hold office
under the Constitution of the state,
under the Constitution of the state,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully perform the duties
and faithfully perform the duties
of the office
of the office
of Port St. Joe City Commissioner,
of Port St. Joe City Commissioner,
upon which I am now about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
So help me
So
God.
help me God.
Congratulations, Commissioner Hall.
Good come up here now. We got a chair waiting on us, Scott. Scott, on behalf of all of us, we welcome you to the city commission.
Well, I appreciate
Do you
it.
have anything at this time you'd like to say?
Thank you for being here. No matter how you vote at all the elections, and I appreciate having the room full for tonight, so let's get started.
All right, thank you. All right, gentlemen, we'll go to our city attorney.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, at this time, I previously provided a draft of the FLCC agreement between the city and the FLCC for the Eglin House and the Lighthouse. It was approved with the redactions that the commission gave me direction to redact at the last meeting. That was approved by the department. I provided the approved version to the FLCC. The FLCC says that they are not in an agreement. I think at this point we should agenda this for the next regular meeting so that all voices can be heard on the issue. Obviously, I represent the city, not the FLCC, so they'll have to come in and discuss that with the city and what they do or don't agree with.
I know I got an email this past week on it. They weren't happy on the sales of the shirts and merchandise, so whatever. Anybody else got anything?
Guys, the time's ticking away. I wish they'd play ball, by our rules. I guess we table it until we come to an agreement.
I know they're upset about them not having a full gift shop, only selling the t-shirts, but hey, we already made a decision. If they don't want to abide by it, then we can move on. But we can take it.
And they brought the same thing to me, they didn't like the idea of not being able to have a gift shop, and I told them we don't want any competition in the historical society, and they said, well, what about all the work we're going to do to the building? They said, we're really going to do a lot of work. Is not that worth something to us? I said, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what kind of work you're going to be doing, but I'm sure if you bring that to the table, and maybe there can be some other things worked out. But that was the thing they told me. They didn't like that idea. Not being able to sell stuff to support them. So I guess we'll just table it till the next meeting.
If we can make a decision then.
Which,
I'd say let's table. And let's
we
try
need
to make
to do that,
it.
just all in agreement, is okay?
There's no affirmative action being taken by the city, so no vote's necessary. Really, the only two options at this point for the city is to take a vote to offer the contract as is to the FLCC, which they've informed me they will reject, or B, set this on the next meeting so there can be a discussion between all parties involved, and at that point, hopefully we can come to a resolution.
I think that would be a good idea, and then if nobody shows up from their side, to talk, I guess it's a dead issue. So,
Yes, sir.
all right, that's what we'll do. All right, what else you got for us?
Mr. Mayor, just so the board is aware, I will be sending out via email some information in advance of the special meeting on June 26th for the board to consider prior to going into to that meeting, just to kind of give some ideas. What I anticipate doing is sending some information that I've obtained from other cities, because ultimately with the ordinance that we're looking at with the golf carts, it can be, it can be multiple pages or it can be short. So we need to kind of synthesize what we want to see, what the city wants to see in that ultimate resolution. And so I've thought it may be helpful if I provided the board with some reading information material of what other cities have done, so at least they can decide if they want to incorporate some of that or none of that or what have you. Otherwise, that is the only update that I have at this time.
Okay. No, I agree with you on what you just said, but
Yes.
everything in order.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
one other thing, the Form 8B voting conflict form needs to be read aloud at this meeting. This is involving Mr. Brett Lowry, Commissioner Lowry. It's on page 5 of the agenda. And if I could, Mr. Mayor, I will
All right, go ahead.
announce the conflict.
Sure.
The disclosure of local officers' interest. Brett Lowry disclosed that on June 5th, he had a conflict which would potentially inure to the special gain or loss of the Gulf County Board of County Commissioners. As an employee of the Gulf County Board of County Commissioners, Board of County Commissioners voted 5-0 to not support the renewal of the CRA, and as Mr. Lowry is a employee of the county, there was a conflict, and we are in compliance with the disclosure statute at this point.
Can I say something in reference to that?
Certainly, Mr. Commissioner.
Yeah, and that boils down to a vote that was taken to extend the CRA. And what I did was abstain from the vote because of a potential conflict with my employer. So I just want to make sure that's known.
And if I didn't express that adequately, my apologies.
I just wanted to hear, the public to hear from me.
Okay. Anything else?
At this time, no.
All right, Jim.
Yes, sir, Mayor. The first item we have is in reference to the 10th Street Park. We did table it at last meeting for further discussion by the board. I do have a larger copy for you to look at tonight. That is the last option that was presented to option 6. And we broke it down into one side of 10th Street, north and south of 10th Street.
Well, I would suppose that we probably should table this again until after our meeting tomorrow. We have a meeting tomorrow at 9 o'clock with the county on the committee. I'm not on that committee at all, not on that. That's another thing we want to do is name somebody from this board to be on that committee in Commissioner Brissette's absence. But that's what I would say we do is just table it, because I don't know if anything we're not going to vote on anything tonight, I don't think.
Entirely up to the board.
I'd like to speak on that.
Sure, go ahead.
I spent some time in the last 2 days visiting as many people as I could that live mainly on the Marvin area of the ball field. I've spoke to 2 of the county commissioners as well, who relayed messages from the TDC, and it was my understanding after speaking to the commissioners, the county commissioners, they were anticipating and desiring us tonight to go ahead and agree to a plan. And I have some ideas about what I think from after speaking to the residents that have been involved in the process well before myself. I believe what I have in mind will have the support of nearly all of those residents. So if you would allow me to briefly explain where we are, maybe we could actually move forward tonight as a board, and then when we go to the meeting tomorrow, we would actually have something unified to present to the county and to the TDC, instead of going and missing the opportunity tonight and moving forward. Because I'm in agreement that this is a subject that we need to be moving forward with. So what I would like to do is kind of summarize what I have envisioned for your consideration as the board, and then at some point we'll obviously hear from the public and see if we need to do any tweaking. But do we have any copies of the map that we have, or it'd be beneficial if the audience had at least a few copies of the map, and some of you can just about memorize the map by now. But and if you need to see it,
Are we on 5 or 6?
Well, let's go to 5.
5.
Yeah, let's go to. What I saw in one of the meetings was when we discussed option 5, it had pretty much full support of the public. So option 6 was the last one that came out, and some people felt like they didn't have enough notice and input for that additional field. And I heard people talk about the softball, girls softball fields felt kind of slighted and left out, understandably so. So I tried to merge the two concepts and come up with something that I felt like might suffice both groups. Well, if you look at option 5, that's the one that left out the softball field. Well, then option 6, we came up with 3 additional fields over there. new fields. There's 2 already there, it'll be 1 additional field. So my idea was to go back to the 2 fields for the softball side, because there was some contention about that 3rd field and where it was going to be placed. So if we could agree that we're going to do something for the girls softball program, and that's have 2 brand spanking new fields, all new lights, bathrooms, and whatever goes along with it, concession stand, and not have the 3rd field, which was part of option 6. We then work with the softball coaches and parents and grandparents and let them direct us in how big of a field do you want, how big of a field do you need. I keep seeing this 200 and 225 foot fence or fields. And I know when I coached and was a part of middle school softball, we didn't really like going to a big, huge field and then you had to put a temporary fence there. So I want them to be involved, and obviously we have to have that approved by the TDC to get that done. So we need to be all involved, but at tonight's meeting, what I think we need to do is have a group discussion, if we need to discuss it any further, listen to the people, and maybe make adjustments from what I'm presenting as group option 5 with an adjustment. And the adjustment is 2 new fields for the girls softball side. And I feel that we have capable people on the staff that can work. I mean, we have Mike, who's doing budgets now, but used to be in charge of the ball fields under the director of recreation. So we can rely on him. And then there was another concern that needs to be discussed, and that was, if we build these fields, are we going to flood people's backyards? Well, and I've assured these people that's not what's going to happen. And if it does happen, then it's our job to fix it. And we have Mr. Grantland here that is going to know how to route the water. And there's already been some work done. The mayor, a while back, assisted when Olive Branch had a flood issue and saw that a ditch was built to tie into the big ditch that's running. So there's a lot of positivity and a lot of good things going for the field. I just need the direction and support of the community, especially those of you that's been involved, and a lot of you are here tonight. And if I'm missing something or forgetting something, this is when you need to say, well, Scott, you forgot about this. But in general, we have support of the community, especially the residents along the Marvin area that I had time to speak with. Now, I didn't have time to speak to some of the people over on Woodward. And there's a big concern of, oh, well, if we allow you to do this, then you're just going to continue to develop and put more parking in. And I had to assure some people, well, that's not the way city government will work. I don't know that it's ever been that way. It surely won't be that way in the future, because if we decided that something else needed to be added, well, we would have a workshop and we would listen to the public and then move forward from that point. So my recommendation is exactly what I just explained, option 5 with 2 additional new fields built on the girls' side of 10th Street.
Commissioner, I have a question. The fields, will they be this 225 feet, or will they be the size that there's required for softball?
What I would suggest is we let the people, we already have like I don't know if is it Dixie Hughes here? Okay, we have people that represent Dixie Hughes. We have parents, we have ex-ball players that can say, you know what, we don't want this big field. So the concept is to approve nothing larger than this, but we can tweak it to make things smaller and more adaptable to what Dixie Youth Association wants. And then we can reach out to the softball representatives and say, well, what do you really want? As long as we're not expanding. I know there's concern for the trees. There's a line of trees over here on the 10th Street, south side of 10th Street, where the girls' softball field is. So they would love to hear, well, we don't want 2 big fields. We want 1 smaller field and 1 big field. With the understanding, if the girls decided to host a district tournament, well, they have full access to the other fields across the street.
And that was brings me to my next point. If the boys, wanted to have a tournament, or right now they could potentially play on 6 fields. This is going to limit them back down to the original.
According to what age group it is.
Okay.
See, and you may know, Mr. Brantley, do the Dixie Youth guys play on that larger field, or are they different ages and different size fields?
According to Dixie Youth, the minimum field size is 200. So that's the minimum. So you get into the AAA and the ozone side, that's where you get your 225s.
Okay.
So your pitching machine and so forth, the minimum field size is 200. So I think those are adequate as far as the size, for that. I don't know anything about softball, but I would think they would be smaller than that.
Yeah. Well, and see, that's an example of going to someone that knows. I don't know all the ins and outs, but I do know that if we allow that input from the experts, we'll build a field that everyone is excited about and will support. And then if other ideas come about, then we can utilize the TDC, because at tomorrow's meeting, at the workshop, my intention is to ask the county and the TDC to create a citizen group. And that group of citizens from this point forward will be our liaison and our expert on what do we want to add. I'm hearing maybe a Frisbee course or a butterfly garden. Well, we can then have those different ideas brought to the city commission from a task group that's already connected and working with the TDC. Because the TDC is where the funding is. We're spinning our wheels if we come up with all these grand ideas, and then the TDC or the county is saying, no, that doesn't fit the requirement of funding. So.
And that was my other question. I believe the reason Plan 5 had to be recreated was because it wasn't adding any fields, and so I don't know if the county said.
I checked on that.
We're good?
According to both the commissioners that I spoke to, Phil McCrone and Sandy, which Sandy will be running the meeting tomorrow, I asked that question. I said, Sandy, I'm being told that we had to have that extra field to meet the TDC requirement.
Not true.
He said, no, absolutely not. You do not have to have 6 fields.
So your proposal then is to keep the 5th plan, Plan 5, and then kind of leave the other side open to community input on the softball side?
With the understanding, we will be building 2 additional, or there are already 2 fields. We're going to build and redo the 2 fields that are there, all new with lighting, just like the other side of 10th Street, new bleachers, all the things that go on the other side of the road we plan to do over there with the guidance and direction of the softball coaches and family and players. We'll build whatever they want, as long as it also is still in line with the funding.
I think that's a good compromise.
What about, I think my question, I know we could get about roughly $900 to $1 million in stormwater funding from the Water Management District and DEP and/or DEP. And that's going to be huge in this whole deal. Is your idea, does it close off that ditch a certain way? Because you'll notice, I was down there today, that fence is practically falling in to that ditch over there. I don't know if you guys have all noticed that too.
Yep.
Are you proposing that as well?
I'll answer that question the same way I answered it to some of the citizens that asked the same thing. Scott, are you going to close part of the ditch? Are you in support of closing at this part? How far of the ditch are you going to close? And my answer is, I'm going to let the people that do that for a living decide how much do we have to do it to make the water effectively flow. I don't think it's fair for me to speak on the Grantland's level of expertise. So I'm going to rely on the people, DEP, North Florida Water Management Crew, when they come in and we're asking for the permits, well, they're going to look at our plan. Look, I don't think for a minute they expect us to draw everything out like where the culvert pipe will be. Yeah. So wherever they direct the city is where I want to support.
I'm looking at I believe it's one I have in front of me is, I don't know, six.
Six.
Everything on the other side of 6 is what you're proposing as well?
Minus one field.
So-
There'd be 2
New
fields.
press
around.
box, new
Yes.
batting cages,
Yes.
just leaving off one field.
One field. And you may have to tweak those 2 fields that are remaining, turn them a little bit different. And that's, again, that's experts, which are the ones that play the game, can say, right now, we actually have a field that the fence in left field is also the field, or the fence to a neighbor's yard. They literally share the fence of the ball field. I walked it out yesterday, you know, like, wow. I mean, if you step over the fence, you're in their yard. So I would suggest we probably will want to turn it a little bit, but we have more room because we're only doing 2 fields, and they may be smaller than this.
So you're eliminating one of these fields here
On the south side, no.
Between
over
the
here.
side. Okay,
Over here,
okay.
yeah. Baseball's good to go, other than I'm open to the experts saying exactly what size ball fields they want.
Yeah.
The only thing I have to say is, there have been several people that called me and said that they wanted to be at that meeting tomorrow. They wanted to voice some concerns about wanting the ball field there. And the person that contacted me likes the 3 ball fields on the girls' side because he's got a daughter that plays. He coaches. And he's definitely planning to be at the meeting tomorrow, as far as I know. And I'm just hesitant to vote on anything until after we see what happens tomorrow. I mean, I can go along with maybe the plan you're talking about, but not tonight. I just can't do it tonight without seeing what happens tomorrow.
Mayor, would you be comfortable just, voting on this is, his idea is what we're going to try to bring to the meeting? I mean, I think the county just wants us to kind of pick something to work with. I don't know that they're wanting us to make a decision completely, this is the plan we're going with. But it sounds like yours is kind of open-ended until we get some citizen input as well.
I just wish the person that was wanting the 3 fields was here tonight, because I'd like to hear from him before I make a vote. Well, he was very adamant about wanting that 3rd field. And he says he's got a lot of people that's adamant about wanting it too. Now, I don't know. I haven't been there. I don't know. I'm just saying what people are telling me. So that's why I would really, I could probably vote for what you're saying, but not without those citizens having their say also. Well, they were at the last meeting, and they're planning to be, some of them are planning to be at the meeting tomorrow, and I think we owe them an opportunity to listen to them just like we listen to anybody else. I'm ready to listen to everybody, the neighbors, the ball players, the coaches, but I just think we need to get their input tomorrow before we make any kind of decision. We can vote tonight, and I'll just need only no vote maybe. But I mean, that's my reason, is because I'd like to see what goes on tomorrow.
I'm fine with that.
Maybe we just send him with our blessing instead of a vote.
I like the idea that Mr. Hoffman, Commissioner Hoffman, come up with, but and I'll vote on it. But I think that we need to listen to some of the other citizens, see what they have to say. But I really like this idea that Mr. Hoffman came up with. I mean, I think it solves the problem myself. But I really would like to talk to the other citizens about it first.
Yeah, I'd just like to find out from them, what's the importance of the 3rd field? Why do we need a 3rd field? Maybe they won't be able to tell me why we need a 3rd field, I don't know. But I like,
Yeah, I thought for a while we had to have that additional 3rd
That's
field
what I was under
to
the
meet the
impression.
requirements of the funding, and then I can I think it's fair to say that the county is looking at the city like, make a decision. I mean, we have been dealing as a city with this issue for months and months. So my feeling is we should come to a consensus on what we want in our city and move forward.
Mayor, would you be comfortable with voting currently for the left side of this plan, for Plan 5? I think we all agreed, and that didn't include any of these fields over here at the time. At least that gives the county a starting point that we can start doing engineering and things of that nature to find out what it would take to do. And then we can, with the you know, with the understanding that we're gonna be adding more fields.
The only problem I have, man, you don't understand, this guy called me,
Right.
and if I vote tonight against what he wants, I'm not gonna do it tonight. I mean, I'm not gonna vote yes. Everybody else can vote yes. And then when we come to the plan, I probably will vote yes. But I definitely want to hear other people, their ideas, because that man took his time to send me an email, called me. He was the one that called Commissioner Brissette last week at the very last minute, and they made up a program, I think that number 6 during the day that none of us saw until 6 o'clock that Tuesday night. And then we were all accused of trying to hide stuff. We're never trying to hide anything, I promise you that. I'm not gonna hide anything from anybody. I'm gonna try to be straight up and forward with you, always.
Here's what I'm going to do then. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve option 6 with the ability to subtract out one of those fields and redraw the distance of the other remaining 2. How about that?
I can go along with that.
That'll be my motion.
What's wrong with 5 and not both field there? I mean, we flip-flopped it now.
Time out. We must raise our hands if we want to talk.
Commissioner Hall, is that what you,
Okay.
is that the proposal that you had, what Mr. Ashford just?
Well, it's almost the same. You can either go and approve 5 and then say, and we're gonna add, you know, the redoing of the 2 fields, which, or we can say, we're gonna approve 6 minus 1 field. It's the same thing. My wishes is that we will end this subject tonight with an understanding we need to build a ball field. And we have a pretty good idea of how. So however you want to word it, and I have no problem with if it comes down to we have to do an additional field, then it's going to be problematic as far as going back in time again and working through where this other 3rd field would be. And, you know, there's a lot of people that I have spoke to that will buy in on the 2 new fields on the south side, the girls' side of 10th Street. But they're not going to support the 3rd field, is what I'm hearing, so. And I don't know that, you know, I'm curious as to why they would need the 3rd field. When they have 2 terrible fields now. I think if they understand we're planning to make those 2 fields brand new like the ones adjacent, hopefully they'll be willing to work with us on that.
Man, I don't know if they could use the fields across the street if they had to. I'm thinking mainly it's coming down to they might need 3 fields when they have a tournament.
Right. Well, and the idea is that they would have 5 fields for a tournament.
And now, you know, our girls right now are over in Sneeze, having to travel to Sneeze, but we don't have a facility. And that's what the coaches don't like. They want to be able to have a tournament here once in a while.
And just so you'll know, I mean, the girls softball program is very close to me. I coached it. So, and I raised 2 daughters in the atmosphere of them always having what's left over. So I will not support any plan that the girls program gets the leftovers. And I think that everyone needs to understand. We're not trying to cut a field out from under them. We're just trying to let them understand that if they need additional fields,
use the other side.
Absolutely. And I think that would work.
My motion stands.
What is your motion?
It is to approve option 6 with the understanding that one of the fields can be removed and the depth of the fields can be changed.
All right, we got a motion from Commissioner Ashford. We have a second.
I'll second.
Got a second from Commissioner Langston. Any further discussion? Come on up. Person in the back. Yes, you.
Yeah, okay,
You got it.
all right.
Commissioner, I appreciate this is your first evening. I appreciate we've all spent a lot of time on this. I've tried to kind of stand back until last week when I started getting phone calls. I've also sat with 2 commissioners. the two that you mentioned. I think from a neighborhood perspective, from a softball perspective, from a committee perspective, from a cost perspective, we need to be cognizant of a process, and that process continues tomorrow with the committee. I would hate for somebody to vote on something tonight thinking in good faith you're doing the right thing and not have the due diligence for that meeting that includes a committee with a chairman and a lot of people. So I gotta say, I'm very surprised because I had meetings as late as yesterday and today. Very concerned about the cost, very concerned about scale, and you did not come and talk to the folks over on Woodward. And I'm one of those neighbors, and my neighbors have voiced a lot of concern. So with all due respect, that's my perspective as someone who's going to live with this. And I hope y'all will respect that too. We need all stakeholders. All stakeholders. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I was up there last week and Mr. Ashbrook decided I was up here long enough and made the decision for me that I was voting for it to go to Field of Dreams. Thank you, Mr. Ashbrook. I voted for you because I was told you were a good guy. I live on Marvin Avenue. I'm one of the ones that backed right up to the fence, right up where the dugout is. There's a telephone pole there that they're supposed to pass in between. That telephone pole is my property line. I put up with a lot from the ball players, mostly the parents. I have nothing against the kids. I've got a daughter. I like watching the ball games from my back deck when I don't have to put up with the parents and the profanity that they yell at me in my own yard that I pay taxes on. I don't want the ball field to be expanded because I don't want to put up with it. I don't like being told that I knew the ball field was there when I bought my property and had that house built. When they go home, I am the one who has to go pick up the trash in the yard because they throw up my yard on purpose. I put up posts with tape and no trespassing signs with private property. It's a joke. The parents, not the children, tear it down and throw the trespassing signs bent up in my yard, along with the post. I told the commissioners and all that were here last week, put it in your backyard. They all looked like Field of Dreams. They said it would cost a lot of money. I think you bought that up to move it over there. And you also bought up, well, maybe in the future. Well, if you're going to spend all that money and expand it now, just think the money it's going to cost, that's going to be less the money that you're putting to expand it now to turn around and move it in the future to Field of Dreams. And y'all laughed when I bought about Benny Roberts. Everybody thought that was real funny because he told me in a couple of years after I bought my home it would be moved over there. Well, I don't know what was funny about that. I missed that joke, apparently. And you say that nothing will be done without the residents knowing? Well, that's funny because all these plans were drawn up. We had no idea until someone happened to come across those plans and bring it to the residents on Marvin Avenue's attention. This would have all been done, and in the process, in my backyard, I would have been going, what are they doing to the ball field? We had no idea this was going to be done. It was not brought to our attention. Nobody knocked on my door and told me this was going to be done. It wasn't in the newspaper or on the news. Y'all already had this going in plan. We didn't know a thing about it. Now, if y'all deceived us to this point, I don't trust you telling me that y'all are gonna let us know anything else in the future. And as far as y'all got our back if our yards start flooding, you're not always gonna be mayor. You're not always gonna be on the commission. Y'all gonna pass the buck on down to the next people? They're gonna say, not my bag. They did that. They're responsible. Is it gonna come out of your pocket to fix this stuff? No. Not my bag. I'm not commissioner anymore. I'm not mayor anymore. Put it in your backyard and see how you feel. I have nothing against the children playing ball. Nothing. I have nothing against children. I worked with special needs children from the time my daughter was in school to the time she got out. I worked with Special Olympics in Coweta County. It's not the children. This should not be in a residential area in people's backyards. If you think it should, put it in your backyard.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. My name's John Fedio. I live at 1011 Woodward. And when this whole deal started, didn't know a thing about it until it was brought to my attention. Nobody ever said anything. And if you try to close in that ditch in that back there, you're going to be flooding out 2-3 neighborhoods along Woodward Avenue. When you have a heavy rain right now, 2 properties to the side of me there are water standing in the backyard because that cover they put underneath that walking trail is too high. Bobby Neal complained about it to the people working there, and oh, they just shrugged them off. It needs to be down about 6 more inches. And if you put piping down there, and this, how far down is this third field going to be? Because I haven't seen a map on, I don't know where it's going to be at. How much of that cover are you going to cover? Huh? You're going to be flooding out that whole neighborhood in there every time it rains. And as far as having the expertise to do it right, sorry, I don't see it with this Preble Rich or anybody else that's doing this stuff here. I've lived here. I've been living on that spot in Woodward Avenue since '64. I'm probably the oldest resident that's anywhere around here. I've been living in St. Joe since 1960, after I got out of the Air Force. And I've seen it flooding a lot of times. When we had that one hurricane, the water came up the ditch and flooded the yards here. It was a dry hurricane. It was right up to my house. And if you don't have the proper drainage, you're going to really have a problem there. And you, like the previous lady, oh yeah, well, the next commission, y'all going to slough it off. We're going to be stuck with what we've got there. Like she said, that's no place for a ball field. You had that property out there by the college, and I don't know what you all done. You blew the money or what the deal is, because you sure wasted the money before that recession hit us. It was ridiculous what was going on. I've been here a long time. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Anyone else? Come on up, sir.
Well,
one behind you, sir.
Go ahead.
Then you can
go right ahead there, Chris. Go and be quiet.
I know it's kind of hot in here, so we need to try to cool it down. That's what I'm saying. You want to go?
No, go right ahead.
You good, bro?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Hello. How y'all doing? Here we go again, right? Filibustering again, right? I guess I have to say my name. My name is Robert Lee Farmer Jr. I guess everybody knows who I am. I'm not here to make everybody happy. I'm not here to make anybody mad. But I'm trying to help the city that I love so much. That people that I know that was in my life that helped me to be who I am today. Some of y'all might don't even know them, but like Coach Taylor and Coach Lula and, oh man, Mr. Raphael, I could go on. These guys make me who I am today, gentlemen. Went to University of Southern Mississippi. Man, every time I want to use the word quit, they talk about motivation. Then I joined the United States Army, Ranger, to be the best that I could be. So I served my country, and I come back. As I come back, I worked in different corporate offices, and I learned a lot. Atlanta, Monterey, California, San Francisco, Germany, I could go on. But since I've been out the box,
I see some great ideas that we could do. But the problem is that do we have a heart for it? Is we sitting up here just to put a little something in our pocket? You know, because I was very disappointed when I found out my water bill went up. The reason why it went up because the people that who was in before y'all, hold on, let me finish.
I know, Robert, but we're discussing the ballpark.
Well, that's what I'm finna tell you. Let me get to it. Come on. See, I ain't interrupt you now.
Yeah.
Let me speak. God knows, let me speak. I'm trying to hold all that energy inside me. I don't want to say something that I disrespect anybody up here. I'm asking God to be with me now. He's in my heart. He's trying to have me speak right. But what I'm saying is that the young lady prior said, like, hey, you got a water system out there big enough for Aunt Nella. Went there and just wasting. Every time I look around, I got to pay taxes on it because the people that was there before you. See, I'm not gonna blame you. Got this great idea, they made the money, they gone. So, here I am again. I'm speaking about a park. All right. Back in the day, we had park on both sides. Is that right? All right. So when you look at it now, that we have people now is coming from up north and everything, trying to come to Port St. Joe, kind of retire and try to have a life, to live a life. And I don't have anything against when you're talking about the ballpark, but I do have something saying that, hey, we got to respect our elders. We got to respect the people that who put their money in there. They don't have anything about the kids. Hey, I love kids. Y'all know that. You know that, Mr. Langston. I work with them all the time, talk to them. I'm always trying to motivate them. But at the same time, I heard about I talked about the rail, but I know we talk to the CEO and we tell them, hey, about that property that I was talking about before. I guarantee if it's for the community, and they could bring something within the community, and you talk to them and be straight up with them. Don't just sit up and half-stepping, and be straight up and say, hey, this is what we like to do for this land. It's not about us, it's about our future. It's about the kids. Yeah, I believe that everybody there, I love it. I walk there all the time. But you know what? It'd be nice that we could have a green. You know, the young lady told me way back against about the eagle. I want to see that eagle. I haven't seen him yet. But I'm asking y'all, just to have a heart, man, to think, say, hey, let's put it right there in front for everybody. So when you have your tools come, like I was telling before, like you have a beach volleyball. You know, you can have a little tool, make a little money off of that. You know, we can have a little sprinkler system for the kid to sit out there in the water. You know, we can have the baseball park out there, the softball park, football field, everything. Everything right there. And at the same time, that's a good job for the summer, for the kids. Have a swimming pool out there, but they can swim. Have fun. This is the places that I've seen that they could work. But if you talk right and be straight up with them and tell them, hey, this is what we want to do for the community, not just for me, not for just, hey, if I could put my picture on the wall, not because I could put a little cash in my pocket, but from the heart and say, hey, this is what I want to do for my community. I know they'll open up if you talk to them, because I done spoke to them. But the point is, they're waiting on you, if you're going to come there to be real. They don't want nobody to come out there made by Mattel and Fisher. They want somebody who made it and created by God as a human being to talk to them. So I hope I ain't rain on nobody. I hope I ain't pissed nobody off, excuse my language. But I'm just telling the truth because it's coming from my heart. And I know we put it back over there between Avenue A, where you got David Langston, named after him, a guy that who we definitely need to respect because he did it, not only did he took us to the state, but what he did for the community. Man, that'd be a beautiful thing. If we take that selfish out the way and put heart in it, and if y'all say you who you are, I'm not going to judge you about your religion, but if you say you who you are, we should be on the same level. But if you ain't, then we got a problem. And we're going to keep saying this in debate all day. And this is my last time talking about it. Because every time I talk about it, the same old, same old. I'm about to go to sleep. Every time. You got people crying. You got people mad. Man can't be just one day come out here and be happy and say, hey, you know what? We're going to do what we're supposed to do. You know, John F. Kennedy said it's not what your country could do for you, but it's what you could do for St. Joe. I don't think y'all heard what I just said. But if you didn't, I will repeat it if you need to be repeated. Please, man, do it for the kids. And when you pass away, guess what? Your grandkids and gone, they'll remember that because we did it from the heart. That's all. God bless y'all.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it. Come on up, Robert.
Well, I didn't intend on bringing my nose out. I had to flip a button because I'm now kind of back the other way than what I anticipated, but that's, I guess that's part of the process, though, right? You sign in, drop this in. I'm gonna tell you how I first heard about this. I was coming home from deer hunting. Well, to start with, I'm 1016 Marvin Avenue. I guess I'm right in the heart of this so-called ball complex or whatever else that we're gonna make it happen if it don't decide to get moved somewhere. What I'm getting at, I didn't know anything about this until I was pulling in my driveway one day. Mr. Marsh asked me did you go to the meeting? Or we missed you at the meeting. I said, what meeting you talking about? Ballpark. They fixed to put a ballpark right behind your house. That's the first I heard. I said, okay. So we researched around, and the first map I get is plan number 3. We all know about plan number 3. We on what, 6 now, suppose, and now we're going backwards. Plan 3 was covering the ditch up from 8 to 16 and putting the lots in between it. Major felling of trees. 12 pickleball courts. $6 million project probably. And then I'm sitting over there at the same time, my backyard, every time we get a trough of pressure, I'm wading in water. John, you remember, I put up there 20 years right there. Bo, you jumped on, you remember that because when you got elected, that's when it took place. And I could sit here and tell you more history backing up to there, but I'm telling you like it is.
Right.
What's there now is working. Now, we went from a $6 million project that we don't know that's gonna work to where we at now. Now we're backing up again. And this, one question I got, when you, Bo, and I say, I'm trying to keep my composure. My job don't let me sometimes. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I probably don't think it's my problem, but what I'm getting at, I took off tomorrow. Now, barely got off, so I can be at tomorrow's meeting. This so-called fellow that stepped in and wanted the third bill, was he not able to make it today, or?
From what I understand, he's coming tomorrow.
Well, okay, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna make sure I can be there. I'm gonna call again, make sure I can still be out. But we're backing up on it. Now, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the county and the city end. I know I run as one of our county commissioners. I'm not gonna mention any names. I'm not gonna step on any toes. I run to the St. Joe Harbor the other day, and I'm gonna tell you what was said. Are you ready for the meeting Wednesday? You know how I was addressed. And this affected me the most as anybody in here. Okay, your county commissioner supporting the money says, I'll take it as it comes. We still backing up. You see what I'm saying? Now, he's not on the committee. Tell us who is on this committee. Let's get this going. We've scaled it from a $6 million plan to the TDC funded and taking it off the taxpayer. You see what I'm saying? So we're going backwards. Now, and I was also told I know how politics work. Yeah, I know. My daddy was county commissioner for 12 years. I've seen how it works. I've seen how things got done. This is back in the good old days when the mill was running, Arizona was running. Yeah, you could waste $2 million and not even ever show it. You see what I'm saying? It never was recognized. The wastewater plant, it was built big for a reason because the mill was running. All that, you see what I'm saying? But we at different times now, so we need to start doing this. It's easy to spend somebody else's money. You see what I'm saying? And we're going backwards. And I'm ready to y'all vote on. Now, I took off tomorrow. This so-called fella that we waiting on, give a phone call.
Thank you, Rob.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Hey, y'all, my name is Tyler McGuffin, and I've lived at Marvin Avenue my entire life. I grew up at 818. I'm right now at 1014. And let me tell you, at 818, all the way till we left that house, I've been cleaning up trash out of my backyard, whether it's chip bags or whatever. And I'll tell you right now, at 1014 where we're at, my pawpaw lived there forever. Heck, he's lived there for 50 plus years till he moved. And I'll tell you, that water comes up all the way to the back step. If you ever get a chance to look at it, it's pretty high up for the water to go. You put anything there, you try to put anything in the way, it's gonna cause some water damage. Now, listen, my father, he works about 4 or 5 days a week out of town in Fort Walton. My mom, she works the weekends on Beacon Hill, 14-hour shifts. And they never heard anything about this. And now I'm speaking to y'all on equal terms right here. If you had someone building something in your backyard, just saying, wouldn't you want them to come up personally and tell you, or at least have a representative to have all the information, leaving that packet to leave? Maybe. Y'all know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to push anything on y'all. I believe all of y'all are good guys. But, you know, I just feel like you should let the people know. People who live there. I mean, heck, this could have gone up without us even knowing. My dad knew nothing about it. He didn't have no packet, didn't have anybody calling, nobody from the city. It took a lady who's here right now, I can't really see her, point her out at the moment, but it took her coming up to our house 2 or 3 times out of the week, finally getting one of us between jobs to actually tell us all about what's going on. We had no idea about it. I'm just saying, if it was your backyard, if it was your house that you lived in 50+ years, wouldn't you want someone to do the common courtesy as a fellow neighbor and a fellow person in the city? Hey, we're all neighbors, basically. We're a small town. Wouldn't you want someone to come up to you and basically say, hey, here's what we're going to do. We got it all laid out here. How can we improve this to better suit y'all? Y'all are the ones who've been living here forever. We would just like that courtesy. And I hope y'all make the right decision, and God bless y'all. And again, no disrespect against any of y'all. I believe y'all do y'all jobs good, but I'm saying in the future, please consider that, because that's the same thing I would want for one of y'all if I was doing that in y'all's backyard. All right, that's all I have to say. God bless
Thank you,
you.
Alan. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I live at 810 Morgan Avenue. There is nothing wrong with the kids playing ball. The issue to me is the parents there. Now everybody knows the parents will take up for their child. That's fully understood, and they're going to take their child's side. But 10 or 12 years ago, I'm not really for sure, Benny Roberts told us that that ball field was moving out to the Field of Dreams. I'd like to know what happened why the ball field was not moved. I'd also like to know if you build this new complex in our backyards, what are you going to do with the Field of Dreams? Build a motel over there or something? What are you going to do with that land? That land was given for St. Joe, and it's just sitting there doing nothing. We could put our ball field over there. We could make a nice city park where the ball fields are now. It makes no sense to me to put a sports complex in the middle of houses. I mean, that's a community there. The kids, you could leave some of the ball fields open, make like I say, a city park, leave a couple of the ball fields over there or something, where the kids could go practice ball or what have you. You know, some of them practice over there, some of them go to the Field of Dreams, so everybody will have their own privacy practicing. But y'all's idea is to go in there and spend all this money that was supposed to have been spent at the Field of Dreams, and you're going to put it in our backyards and the thing, and who's going to fix it? Like he said, there is already water problems over there. Now you build these fields over there, and you start flooding people's houses. Is the city going to buy them from them at fair market value? I don't think so. They're going to turn around and tell the people that live in them, nothing we can do. A lot of the people around there are older people. They can't afford to move or to another place. They have years in their home. And to treat people like that is totally disrespectful to the community. And apparently that's what y'all are doing. You're just being disrespectful to the people who live there because we knew nothing about it. Like y'all, I think you said 5 months or whatever it was. We didn't know nothing about it till 6 or 8 weeks ago. If y'all was doing all this planning, how come you did not come and let the residents put in their 2 cents worth? Apparently their 2 cents is worth nothing to y'all because you went on and did the plan and probably hoped that the residents wouldn't find out about it. But we did. It was bad luck for y'all, good luck for us, because at least we get to voice our opinion now. And y'all sit up there, shake your head, look around, daydream, do whatever you want to do, but it's the citizens in this town that makes it. You've already got a serious problem in this town. Instead of doing a ball field, you need to get some work in here for these kids when they get out of school, where they got a job. They don't have to go to Fort Walton or to Destin or Panama City or wherever to find a job because they don't want to work at, at McDonald's. They can't afford to work at McDonald's or Burger King or whatever and support their family. They've got to leave town. And it's just totally mind-boggling to me where y'all are not looking at the future, you're looking at right now. We want a ball field for the kids right now. I agree with you, I want a ball field for the kids too. But I also want jobs in this town so that the kids don't have to leave. They've got the majority of the kids in this town got 2 choices. They either go to school, college somewhere, and most of them won't come back. The ones that stay, the majority of them have to leave Port St. Joe to find a job to support their family if they have a family. They can't look at the cost of housing. You can't buy a house in Port St. Joe for Burger King pay. And nobody's looking at that. You're looking at a ball field. I'd be looking at the future of the city. I mean, y'all can do what you want to, because I know you're going to do it anyway. But when y'all gone and all of us are 80 and 90 years old, and all the kids are gone because they don't have no jobs, and the city just collapses, that ball field's going to look real nice sitting out there in the middle of the city with nobody hardly living in it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. We're going to have to cut this off pretty soon. We're talking, that's fine, but we're all saying a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, and actually I had been sitting there not going to say anything because I wasn't sure there was anything new to say, but I think there is something new to say, so I'm going to try to say something new. My name is Jill Beebe. I live at 808 Marvin Avenue. I've been at these meetings since I found out about the plan. I understand that the city isn't used to doing controversial things like this and probably missed a step not informing people about this in the beginning. I don't want to go over about that. I thought we'd been making progress. I thought everybody had been listening to the neighbors. I heard the people, I'm new, but I heard the people who've been here a long time saying, we love that park, that ball fields, we played on them when we were a kid. I said, well, you know what? They should have them. I mean, I don't mind neighborhood ballparks, and that's what we want, and that's what we thought we had been working towards. Now, last meeting we came and we were very disappointed to see we'd gone from Plan 5 to Plan 6. And I asked at the end of the meeting how we could get our ideas out, and I was told to pick up the phone. Well, I did, and I called my city commissioner, Eric Langston, and he, well, actually, I couldn't get a hold of him. I went in and we went and met him at work, and he invited us right in and sat down and talked to us, and he arranged a meeting with our county representative, which is Sandy Quinn. And today I talked to Scott Hoffman, who's the at-large representative. And talking to all these people, they seem to hear me and they seem to understand me. And I was very encouraged. I thought I was going to come to this meeting tonight and we were going to have some kind of compromised position. And that everybody was going to give a little bit and we were going to come up with something that could satisfy everybody. And by the way, it was brought out in the last meeting, and I'll say it again, if you have to have a sixth field for a tournament, you've got a beautiful field in Peters Park. It's huge. You should go over there sometime and look at it. I did. But here's what I found out. I evidently didn't call the right people, or else I'm not the right person to be calling. And for that, I am very, very disappointed. Very disappointed and very sad and somewhat hurt.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Will you state your motion one more time?
Yeah.
Yes, come on up.
I'm not going to read all this. We have gone over this. We've been talking about this for a long time. There's been a lot of work gone into it. And I think basically we all want the same thing. We want to keep our historic field, because it is historic. I mean, there are a lot of generations have grown up playing on that field. And the park, and playing in the park area. We want to keep that. We want to also make sure that the fields are up to standards and that they're what the parents that are playing, the kids that are playing, the coaches, what everybody needs and what this community needs. If we need to fix some of the fields, let's fix them. But we all also, I think, want to attract tourists to the area. We want to make it, and it already is with the trail, bringing a lot of people in. And that's one of the #1 issues with this, is to bring in tourism, bring in visitors. And with the family-friendly park like we have, and add some fun, some fun elements to it, I think we can achieve that. And I think that's something that everybody wants. I think we can find the things that we agree on and compromise, and we can work together. And that's the main thing, is all working together, listening to the other side, hearing their voices, and coming up with a plan that's going to work for everybody. We support, a lot of people that I have talked to and represented were happy with 5. It was a compromise. It wasn't exactly what any one of us would have done, with maybe a few extra things. And we are fine with #5 in working with the girls softball. You brought up the girls softball, working with those fields. But #6 minus 1 field is not the same as #5 working with those other 2 fields, because #6 moves way down and it brings concession stands into the thing. If we can stick with #5 and redo those 2 fields, the 2 softball fields, with whatever the softball people need. I don't know what size fields they need. I know it's 155. We'll work with them, like Mr. Hoffman said. Let's work with the softball people who know what they need, and the coaches. But we would support 5 working with the 2 fields on 10th Street with no problem. I mean, I know it may need to grow some and take down some of the trees there. If it's the least invasive, we can live with that. But staying within that footprint and saving as many of the trees as we can, save as many of the green spaces, but work with #5 with
fixing up the two fields. And I think together we can all come up with a good plan on this. I think we can all work together. There's no sense that the folks with baseball and anybody be divided, because there's some great ideas, everybody's worked hard on it, and hopefully we can put this to bed. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right. I want to hear your motion one more time, so I know exactly what we're voting on.
The motion was Plan 6, with the ability to remove a field from the softball side and adjusting the size of the fields. It's essentially the same thing that she just said. It allows us to adjust the size of the field.
All right, so we have a motion.
The ability to remove is not.
People, we cannot speak from your seat. We just cannot do it.
Well, I'd like to say something then, please.
Well, come on, we're going to allow one more person, then we're going to wrap this thing up.
All right, we're talking about trust. Trust in you.
Yes, sir.
With changing from the 3 fields to the 2 fields.
What's your name again?
Fred Morris.
Okay.
Trust is a big thing here. And I have been misled, and I don't like being misled. I sat right here in the last meeting and I asked for each one of y'all to tell me one field, tournament field, that was in a neighborhood. Bo, I went to Lynn Haven.
Did you?
Yes, I did. There are only 2 houses that back up to that big parking lot. There's not the big retention pond with the woods behind it there. On the other end ain't nothing but woods. You know what's over on the right-hand side? That's a train manufacturing center for AC units.
Wow.
And the whole place is lined up with 18-wheelers.
Wow.
That's all I got to say.
All right.
And you agreed that it was in a neighborhood.
Thank you, sir. I wasn't the only one.
I know. I know that. I meant that for everybody.
We got someone coming up first.
You know, Benny Roberts was a nice person. I like Benny Roberts. He was a good man. And I fully believe that he was telling me the truth about moving the ball field. Now, y'all go out there and instead of putting the ball field over there where it was supposed to be moved to, totally redo the ball fields and put everything up there. You know, 10 years from now or whenever, people gonna look, well, old Bo told me that. They're gonna be using your name instead of Benny Roberts. And that goes for all of you commissioners. I mean, I'm not just picking on you folks. I'm just, you're sitting there in front of me.
I'm in the middle.
Yeah. And that kicking the can down the road just doesn't make it. I mean, why did we not move the ball field? Can somebody tell me why?
Why we didn't move out there?
Yeah, after the field of dreams. That's what it was called at that time.
I think there was several issues that people had brought up. One was the distance from town, for kids to be able to get out there and use it as they do the one downtown now. They wouldn't have the access for it. And the major highway, that Highway 98, they would have to travel to get there if they would ride their bicycle that far. So, I mean, I think that was some. I mean, they have to ask somebody else any of the other ones. That was my main concern, was the safety of the kids.
Well,
you can speak when you come up, people.
My daughter's special needs. And when they told me that I need to take her to Tallahassee or I need to take her wherever, I didn't care how far it was. If a parent is too lazy, or for a better, you know, that's the only word I can think about, if they were too lazy to drive their child over to the ball field at the Field of Dreams, You have a parent problem.
Some of these kids' parents don't even have a car.
Well, my neighborhood-
We're not talking about the rich people here.
I know
We're
that.
talking about poor people that can't afford it.
Okay.
So I just want to let you know that, sir. But I've listened to you for a long time now.
Yeah, well, thank you then.
And I love these kids in this town. I've done everything I can for them, and I will do everything I can for them forever.
Why are those people like that?
People come up here and talk, we're trying to deceive you. We're not trying to deceive anybody. That's just a bunch of bull.
People are in the situation they are in this community because they don't have no jobs.
And we're trying our best to get some jobs. It's not easy to get jobs.
I know it's not. But
maybe you don't.
You're not.
I do, because I've been trying very hard to get jobs in this town for 8 years now.
Well,
and I've talked to some very important people about coming here. And it may finally happen one day. So I'm just hoping it will.
Well, for this city's sake, I hope it does too.
Yes, sir. I want jobs here as much as
like
anybody.
I said earlier, that you can get out and ride around in Florida, Alabama, South Georgia, wherever you want to, and you can go through those towns that are falling in because there's nothing there. And that's what's going to happen to Port St. Joe. Because we're going to spend all our money doing whatever, and then what are you going to do with the land out there for the Field of Dreams? What are you going to do with it? Somebody else going to come up here 10 years from now and build a ball field out there?
Thank you, sir. Ms. Rogers, you've already been...
How dare you say about poor children? There's everywhere. It's not just Port St. Joe. So don't give me that. We're not trying to say anything about any children. If you want to get your kids somewhere, you can. I was raised poor, so don't give me that. And another thing, these people that are voting for this plan, they don't live where we live on Marvin Avenue, so it's not their backyard. So don't raise your voice at my husband like you did me the other day, and I raised my voice right back.
And I've tried to help you, Ms. Rogers.
You
more than
have done
anybody.
nothing.
Okay. Okay. I sure have. And you know I have.
No.
I've been to your house how many times?
2.
3.
2.
And tried to come another time and pick up trash, and you told me not
Well,
to
you
do
waited
it.
half a day to do it, and by that time it blew underneath the house.
We're through with this conversation.
We
now.
are too, and I tell you what, you will not get a vote from me.
Well, that's fine. I never got one from you anyway, probably.
Well, I'd like to have one more.
All right.
I'd like to have one more minute.
Okay, you can go now.
What I need to say, I'll give me a minute and I'll be through it, I promise. I won't say it.
I'm just tired of the meanness in here.
I'm not gonna come up with meeting nobody. I want to stress the point. Now, like I said before, when I first jumped, I come through this part like everybody else. As a kid, and I coached, and I took ball teams all over the state of Florida. And I know what it takes to hold a district tournament. I know what it takes to hold a state tournament. Ralph Frisch in the neighborhood, we enjoyed having wee wall down for the district tournament. You know what I'm saying? And we went on to play in Lake Oak Show. You see what I'm saying? Guess what? They got a farm just about like ours, pretty much. Only thing we don't have that they got, we don't have the hotels and the parking. And this right now, like that is, can host a state tournament. But guess where they're gonna park at? They're gonna park at everybody's yard the same time. Don't get me wrong. And you can have one, but that's what's required. You got to have the parking. Now, you can build a low-income field, or you can build a $10 million field. The kids get ready to come. They gonna come. We're gonna get them there. Okay. Now, one more thing, and I'm through stepping on toes.
Okay.
Now, when it first started, the center of this so-called I'm gonna call it a $6 million park, because that's about what it would have cost to build it had it went through. Okay, we actually, the city of Smart Lake, done y'all a favor. We saved somebody a bunch of money by getting that scratch in that plan. Now where we're at now, right? Yes, okay, sir. Now to start with, it was backing up right to my fence. Okay, now I'm compromising, and I'm still. I want to be through with it. Let's get this about and go on. You see what I'm saying? I'm still seeing the lights cut before. You know, I don't know what to do. We're going backwards.
Thank you, Robert. Yes, sir, Mr. Tyler.
I just have one thing to say, though.
Come on up front, man.
If people come up here and try to talk to you you get upset and start hollering at them. Oh, I know you wasn't yelling, you were just, that's just your normal way. I used to be a boss, I could sit there and raise my voice a little bit and run people down. I know how that is. That's what you're doing to the people that live in this town. You need to respect the people in the town.
Yes, sir.
To give respect for yourself.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Tyler, you're the last one. We're gonna have this man and then we'll move on.
Good to see y'all again. Listen, to break a little bit of the tension, just to kind of accumulate what everybody's trying to say. I know there's a lot of emotion running high right now, but you kind of have to understand why people are upset. Listen, I'm not mad at y'all for, I don't know how it looks on y'all's end to make a project like this. I think it was just I hate to say it makes it sound bad, but a lack of judgment on y'all's part. I don't know every little bit about it, how y'all went about it, but people just wanted to know. And I think from here on, I really think y'all should just take time to listen to them. I mean, we don't need to be making a decision so hastily on this when everybody just now is learning everything about it. I think we need to take a little bit more time on this, get a lot more feedback from the people down these roads that it's going to affect. Because when it comes down to it, it's the people who are going to live here. It's the people who are going to stay here and raise their kids here, who want to raise their kids here. They're going to have to live with this. Now, God bless y'all. I hope y'all make the right decision, but I really think that just a lot more of a voice. Like, go around and talk to some more people, because truthfully, the way I see it, I think it should be a vote on the people who live down the street that's going to affect. But that's just me. But God bless y'all, and I hope y'all make the right decision. Good day.
Thank you, Tyler. All right, we got a motion, and we got a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Mayor, would you also like at this point to let Commissioner Bezant, do you want to put a new representative for the committee tomorrow?
Well, I think Harry Langston would make a good one with a sports background myself. Anybody wants to make a motion of that, or you got somebody else you want to make a motion for?
Well, the motion y'all made was at the table, dude?
No, sir, it was to go with Plan 6 with one field possibly coming off.
Oh, wait. Did, you said it carried 5-0?
Yeah.
On
voted no. Anybody vote no? 5-0.
So 6, y'all voted to go with 6 minus one field?
Possibly minus one field.
Possibly.
Yeah, we're going to look at it some more is all we're going to do.
It's 5 with the 2 fields that are there being redone, or it's 6.
I'm gonna say one more thing on that. Now, this Plan 5 now, there was a lot of confusion on that. So y'all had 3 fields, imaginary fields to start with right there. That's why I was kind of confused last time. When you said, well, the fields already been there, I said, I know they're there, and y'all cover them up. See, they would them up, but Plan 5 don't even show them.
I don't think they got any fields on the other side.
Not on 5.
They have no fields.
On 5, correct.
Yeah, they were cutting out all the fields on 5, as far as on the other side.
Reggie, I have one extra question, and it won't take just a second.
Yes, sir.
This question keeps coming up and everything. Let's just be optimistic, and let's say that you built at the Field of Dreams. Just say for awful all that happened. Are you telling me that you're going to tear all these fields down out here for the local children?
No, I don't know what they're going to do. That's
what you said.
Nobody has been seeing it at all. No, we've never planned on tearing the fields down. That's not to my knowledge. Never. All right. Jim?
We talked about appointing somebody else.
Okay, so do we have a motion? Anyone want to make a motion, or?
Eric, are you interested? I'll make a motion to appoint Commissioner Langston to that board.
We have a motion by Commissioner Ashbrook. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Scott Hoffman. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, now we got another thing to do too. And I mean, Scott Hoffman will be a good guy to do this. The member from us on the Sacred Heart Board, they don't meet with maybe once or twice a year. The Sacred Heart Trust Board. Rex was on it.
Yes, I'm not sure the details, but yes, sir, he is.
Yeah, so we need to replace him on that board too. Commissioner Hoffman, I can't tell you exactly what all it's about, but I do know you don't meet very often. Would you consider being on that board? It's with the Sacred Heart. Now, all I need to have is a motion on that. To put Scott on the Sacred Heart board.
Make a motion to that effect.
All right, we got a motion from Commissioner Ashbrook, we have a second. Second. Second from Commissioner Lowry, all in favor say aye. Aye. All right, you the new man.
So we can find some details out about it.
Yeah.
Let's see, moving on then, Mayor, the next item is reference to the golf cart workshop. We have it scheduled for next Tuesday, 6/26 at 6 o'clock here in this building. The next item is the road bond money. As you'll recall, we did send a letter over to the Board of County Commissioners. Right now, from my understanding, to be on the agenda for next Tuesday. We do have approval for the road paving portion. Consideration will be given for the water line replacement next Tuesday night.
Ross, it was kind of misunderstood, I think, by some members of the county that the clerk could just sign off on that, but can you, after you talk to us?
Yes, sir, I got a call from the clerk's office on Friday, and I was told it will be on the county commission agenda for next Tuesday, is what I was told.
All right, good.
Okay. The last item we have in our old business is the water canal crossing. Commissioner Lowry want to talk to you tonight about it?
Thank you. I know we've talked about this on and on throughout this past year. I've been in contact with some representatives from Deseret, well, not more so Deseret, more so BTG Timber, which Wimico Timber, and been in discussions on a way possibly for them to run and cut timber and run it some other route other than across our bulkhead right there at the White City Canal. I know we've got some representatives here from both parties, but I know my goal was to find a way to get them away from that bulkhead. I've had some discussion, and I believe we can establish that. Will, are you here still? You want to come on up, if you don't mind? Calvin, I see you back there, if you want to come on up. I think, guys, my idea is to kind of, that right now, you've got traffic from the truckers hauling timber in and out of a residential area and crossing our bulkhead. Not right this second, but we're coming out in a residential area, crossing our bulkhead, and we stopped it by a 5-0 vote. And I think we've been trying to come to a resolution to figure out, you know, where the easements are across our freshwater canal. We understand we've got probably 20 of them, and there's no bridges. So I've been working with Will to figure out a way to appease all parties. And my idea is to find a way where they cross our canal. Maybe we give them a lease for a temporary bridge or something permanent, whatever we all decide. But to maybe get them away from that residential area and allow them to cross our canal. So, anybody got anything on that? I know we've been talking about it off and on.
Is the structural integrity of the line still an issue, or have we determined that there's no safety issue?
I don't believe that anybody's looked at it, but I believe that thing was built in the 50s, and we don't know. The issue would be is if that pipe broke, it'd be a disaster. Water. That's the bottom line. And
can't afford it.
And I've been working with Will to figure out a way to see if we can find a way to allow them to cross and bring their timber across without going that route. So,
what do you need from the board today? Permission for staff to work on it, or?
Yeah, to work together, and even me and maybe the attorney to work together with Deseret and Wimico Timber, and to figure out a way, a compromise, to get an easement across our canal to allow them to bring their timber across. And the bottom line is, we've been trying to do that for about a year. So if you'll allow me to work with them, maybe the attorney, maybe work with their attorney, I see Calvin, to see if we can get something worked out to benefit all. And if you guys would like to say anything, you're more than welcome.
Gentlemen?
Just briefly, I'd like to explain.
State your name for me, please.
My name is Will Leonard. I work.
Sign it right there.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. My name is Will Leonard. I work for American Forest Management. Thank you for your time and opportunity to speak with you tonight. I thank Commissioner Lowry for bringing this issue up again. By way of introduction, BTG Pactual is a timberland investment management organization, TIMO, that invests in timberland for their clients. BTG has hired my company, AFM, to manage their day-to-day operations on the Wemaco tract located east of White City. That tract's roughly 19,000 acres in size, with half lying north and half lying south of the Intercoastal Waterway. The property was formerly owned by the St. Joe Corporation before being sold to Wemaco LLC. AFM's client purchased the property from this group in 2009. With that purchase, BTG Pactual, Wemaco Timber, purchased several easements as well. One of these easements is located east and west of the Freshwater Canal and leads to Steeple Road in White City. Historically, as was mentioned, there were a number of wooden bridges, one just north of the headwall crossing, and that bridge was deemed unsafe and removed sometime around 2010, 2011. Since that time, BTG and our neighbors have used the headwall to cross the Freshwater Canal. Thousands of tons of timber have been hauled across this headwall without incident or issue. In late summer 2017, the City of St. Joe installed a gate on the west side of the Freshwater Canal restricting access to the headwall crossing. At that time, AFM contacted the city on behalf of its client to request permission to put our lock on the gate. We were directed to contact the city's attorney, Mr. Clinton McCahill. AFM and AFM's client were led to believe by Mr. McCahill that accessing BTG's Wemaco tract at this point would not be a problem. We remained in contact with the city's attorney over the next several months, but came no closer to resolving the issue. In March 2018, AFM received a letter from Mr. McCahill on behalf of the city stating that the City Commission had voted to deny access across the Freshwater Canal at the headwall crossing. The stated reason was that potential use of the headwall crossing could damage the existing pipe and disrupt the city's water supply. Granted, this is a very serious matter for the city, and we recognize that. However, it is also a serious matter for BTG and our neighbors east of the Freshwater Canal. Loss of access at this point negatively affects both BTG and our neighbors. First, it adds haul distance to receiving mills for timber buyers. This added haul distance is reflected in lower timber prices. Landowners' timber east of the Freshwater Canal is worth less without this access point. Second, it lowers the potential sale value for the property east of the Freshwater Canal. Access points are a key factor in determining real estate values. Losing an access point equates to a potential lower valuation of tracts east of the Freshwater Canal. This is a serious matter for everyone concerned. So gentlemen, that leads us to where we are tonight. And what Mr. Lowry has said, we're seeking common ground and a resolution that is equitable and positive for BTG, our neighbors, and the city of Port St. Joe. We thank you for your graciousness in inviting us to your meeting and look forward to the discussion of potential solutions.
If you were to go across there and you were to break it, would y'all stand behind and fix it? Would y'all be willing to do that? You sign a letter to that, if something ever happens, you'll make sure you pay the money to fix it?
I cannot commit to that.
That's what I thought. That's all right. I had to ask the question. So that would make a big difference to me. If y'all were willing to come off your pocketbook if something did happen. But see, as far as we look at it now and you say nothing's happened, well, what if it does? What if it does? What is that going to do for the city of Fort St. Joe?
Yes, sir.
You know, it's going to be very bad, very bad. I mean, you won't have any liability at all.
It's a very serious issue for the city, as well as my client and I.
I appreciate you coming and talking.
I do too. I appreciate you being here.
And I'm glad that you understand that it is serious for us as well. I mean, we got a lot of citizens that depend on that water source. So, I mean, with that, I'd make a motion to allow staff to work with their council and try to work out an equitable solution to bring back to us.
All right, we got a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
Second from Mr. Lowry. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Mayor, we're on the new business. The next two items are connected. Resolution 2018-06, vacating the plat of the Bayview subdivision. This was a previously platted subdivision by the Joe Company several years ago, and the request is to vacate that plat to move forward with a development order for Coastal Plantation Development Order request. I think there's some representatives here that can answer any question you may have. But you're actually reducing the density on there. The initial one, the density was pretty high. I think we're getting down to 17 particular lots. Mr. Gibbs is here to explain that.
I'm Tom Gibson. I think this is a fairly simple issue. St. Joe Company platted a number of subdivisions along the Jones Homestead Road back before the recession, and nothing has happened with any of it since then. So we're asking you to vacate the plats. There's a state statute that covers it, and I think all the information is in your packet. So we'd ask you to adopt the resolution that is included, and if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Has this gone before the PDRB board?
It's the state law doesn't have any requirement that it go to the planning board.
Just some of your clients, I'm assuming?
I'm working for St. Joe Company tonight.
Okay.
And this resolution is just to dissolve that
All it
plat.
does is eliminates the old plats.
Can you erase it and start over? I'll make a motion.
All right, we got a motion from Commissioner Ashbrook. We have a second.
A second.
Second. Commissioner Eddie Langston. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
The next item of business is the Coastal Plantation Development Order request. If you'll turn over to page 24, this item did go before the planning board, and there was the recommendation given down by the planning board for your consideration tonight.
How long before this development's gonna take off, you know, Jim?
I do not know, sir.
Is this a development or just a replat?
This would be for a development order, but it would be for a new plat as well.
It lowers the density. It's not going to cause any more strain on our systems.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and make that motion, guys, to accept this.
All right, we got a motion from Commissioner Ashbrook. We have a second.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Hall. All in favor say aye.
I abstain. I've got a business relationship with the developer.
All right, he's abstaining. We have one of those papers?
Yes, sir. Yes, I've got it.
Okay. All right, so all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 4-0.
All right, the next item we have is a reference to the 10th and Woodward four-way stop. Mayor Patterson wanted to talk to you tonight about it.
What did I want to talk to you about that? I just happen to live 2 houses off the corner of Woodward, and I recently bought me a glider to put on my front porch, so I've got a bird that's learning to talk. So me and him both get out on the porch and sit a good bit of time during the day, at night, and the evenings. Nobody will stop for that stop sign order. Everybody rolls right on by. Nobody's stopping at all. And when they're coming from Long Avenue, going down that way towards the ballpark, they're wide open. The only way to slow them down is put a four-way stop there. And I think we need it for the safety of the kids, one thing. And if I'm not wrong, Jake, didn't we have a wreck there about 2 weeks ago? Somebody rolled out of that stop sign?
Not that I'm aware of.
I was told we did. I don't know. I thought the chief knows about it.
The chief told me we didn't have any data on any crashes.
The lady living next door that rents her house out told me that she saw the wreck herself. Now, maybe they didn't call the police.
They possibly did not.
But there was a wreck there, and like I say, nobody stopped. And I mean, some people don't even slow down. Now, that might happen at other intersections too. It just happens at the one I happen to be sitting at.
Well, I think it's right there by the park, and I wouldn't be opposed to doing it on Marvin and Woodward there at 10th Street, just to slow people down.
Well, somebody else mentioned, why don't you go ahead and get Marvin at the same time, make it a four-way stop too. And I think for the safety of the kids, that wouldn't be a bad idea. So, anybody else?
Want a motion? Yeah. I'll make a motion to add a four-way stop to Marvin and 10th Street, as well as Woodward and 10th Street.
All right, we got a motion from Commissioner Ashbrook. We have a second. Second from Commissioner Langston. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Yes, some stop signs. Thank you, gentlemen. Ain't no way to slow down. All right, Jim.
A couple of things, Mayor, that came up today. The GMAC, we got a call today about the Washington GMAC. We had some folks go and look at it today. Unfortunately, the old unit is not repairable, is what we were told today. So we're working on trying to get some quotes for you. We believe we can do it under our bid threshold. Our bid threshold is $10,000. If it's okay with the board, we will work on securing quotes and get that AC repaired as quick as we can, because we got kids in there for that summer program.
Yeah,
you replaced one of them last year, but we need to replace the other one. And we may be able to get some help from the county.
Yeah, they helped us with the last one.
They did, so, and Commissioner Quinn said he would try, so I think we can work that avenue too, and maybe across the middle we can get some help on funding it, but it's going to be less than $10,000, we believe, and close to it. Okay. So with your permission, we'll do this quote and try to get it repaired.
Do you need a vote on that?
It would be good if we could, man.
All right.
So moved.
Have a motion from Commissioner Ashbrook. We have a second.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Langston. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
The last thing we had, Mayor, is our next regularly scheduled meeting is on July the 3rd. That is the night before the 4th holiday. We got to looking at the schedule on that, and we figured we would ask the board what your wishes were for the next regular scheduled meeting. If you want to hold it, we will. If you don't want to cancel, we can do that too.
I'd rather skip it myself.
I know I spoke to Bill about carrying the DRA meeting to the 17th, which is our next meeting. So he's got that moved.
So we won't have a DRA meeting at that.
Do you foresee us having anything that's going to come up that needs voted on?
We have a workshop next Tuesday for the golf carts. If something comes up at that point, we can add that on to discuss on there, or we can do whatever you need to do. If we need to take care of business, we'll take care of it.
I'd say for now, let's not have it. I mean, I don't think, I know I won't be here that week.
Do we need a vote on that, Jim?
Yes, sir, to cancel the regular
motion to cancel.
So moved.
I'll have a motion from Commissioner Langston.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Ashbrook. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
That's all I have, man.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, John?
Mayor, yeah, briefly, just a quick update on the water meter replacement. That project's obviously moving forward. We're sort of anticipating about another 2 weeks, and hopefully we'll get the contractor out of here. But it is moving forward. You see him kind of moving through town. It's sort of scattered, but it is moving forward well. Jones Homestead Sewer, we anticipate potentially starting this program and project by the end of next week. That's kind of the mark on the wall. I've got some meetings scheduled the first of the week with the boring company to sit down and make sure we're all on the same page. I want to give them a few days to get ahead of me, and then we'll be right behind them. So the plan right now is for us to start on Plantation Drive, and we'll just simply work down towards Cessna and go in that direction, and we'll turn and come back towards 98.
Work at the end and come back on Plantation?
No, we'll work from the road down.
I know one guy, he's one of his quick.
Either way I go, it won't work until I connect it.
He's still building his house, though.
So, but that's moving forward, so that's our plans there. Fish and Piers, we're still working with the draftsman to get those plans, sort of ironed out. Once we do, hopefully in the July meeting we can have something for the board to look at and approve for us to go out for bids for. That's what we're shooting for. The last item I've got is FDOT permitting. You should have a letter in your packet from Clay Smallwood. This is what this relates to is the FDOT permitting for sewer crossings or water crossings as they may relate to a state highway. FDOT requires us to permit those even for service lines. So unfortunately what we've gotten is Mike is really selling a lot of those. And for the last, well, forever, I've been doing those. And it's not bad because we didn't have that many. And basically now we do. So the bottom line is to speed up the efficiency of this permitting process will be to turn that over to Dewberry to do that work for us. There's not going to be any additional cost to the city or to the customer that connects. Those fees will already borne in, so that's just a sort of a pass through. But the idea is to lighten the workload on myself a little bit because quite frankly it ties me down for a couple hours each time.
Yeah, if it's a pass-through and it doesn't look like there's any commitment here, we could cancel this at any time.
Right.
So I'll make a motion to accept that.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Ashby, we have a second. Second from Commissioner Hoffman. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
And that's all I have, Mayor, unless you questions.
Any questions for John? All right, Larry.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I don't really have anything on the agenda for tonight, but I would like to invite our new commissioner, Commissioner Hoffman. If he'd like to take a tour of the water plant, I'd be more than happy to give you a tour sometime. Just get up with me and let you get familiar with our plant.
I appreciate the invite. I'll take it.
Yes, sir.
Very interesting. All right, anything for Larry? Anybody? All right, Mike?
We did receive the final draft of our fiscal year 2017 audited financial statements. We're reviewing them now, and so we should have those out to you in the next few weeks. And I guess typically we've had our auditor come present those documents, so I guess that would be the second meeting in July. We can request him to be here for that meeting.
Any questions? All right. Kevin.
We ordered a sun disruptor, for the algae. It came in this afternoon, so it's going to have more power than the ones we had. It's an upgrade version at half the cost. So,
that's what I thought I heard you say, half the cost.
It's competition. These people are starting to compete against each other now, which is a good thing for us.
Right.
So we'll try to get it in place tomorrow, and a piece of equipment online over. And that's all I got.
Any questions for Kevin? Right. City engineer, anybody here tonight? The engineering company, I know Clay's out of town.
Yes, sir, he's at a conference this week.
Okay. All right. Code enforcement, I'm sure everybody's got their report from Richie and looked it over. Got a lot of grass growing around town. Police department.
No, sir, we have nothing.
Don't have anything tonight?
No, sir.
The city clerk.
Just want to remind you that your financial disclosure forms are due by July the 2nd. If you haven't turned it in, please be talking with Supervisor of Elections John Hanlon, and there's a penalty if you don't get it done on time.
I did mine today.
That's all I have, gentlemen.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clark. All right. Citizens to be heard. Come on up.
I'm Linda Wood, 206 Long Avenue. One statement with all due respect, gentlemen, but you're going to have to put a four-way stop at every intersection in Port St. Joe because they roll through them all. That's just a comment. But I have a question. We voted to table the issue about the contract at Eglin. I would like to know how long it's going to be tabled because It was on the agenda for last week. The Conservancy chose not to be here. It was on the agenda tonight. They chose not to be here. So if we put it off now until July, middle of July, if they don't show up then, are we going to table it again? Or are we going to make a decision?
I would hope not. If they haven't shown up by then they're not really interested.
Okay, I'm sure you're as ready for a decision as
Yes,
I am
ma'am.
ready for a decision.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just wanted clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else in the public?
I didn't call my name last time, I'll do it now.
All right, sir.
Okay, my name's John Petio again. I live on 1011 Woodward, so I'm always going through that intersection at 10th Street. I don't see where there's any problem with people coming down 10th Street through that area, because if they're going fast, they're going to lose control of their car going over 10th Street, and 8th Street the same way. You're talking about putting four-way stops there. I think that's just a waste. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Chester Davis, PAC President. I want to thank, first of all, the city for the event we just put on for Juneteenth and the cooperation that we had with the city cleanup crew. John, they did a great job cleaning up on our side. We only had one issue, two issues rather. The air conditioners didn't put out quite what we expected it to. Got a little hot in there for some of the elders. And we're trying to come up with a solution that talk with Eric Langston and Quinn, maybe come together with the city and do a dual thing and get that repaired, because I know anytime we have senior citizens, and there's possibilities that they'll get overheated and pass out. The event itself was a great event. Some of the crowds didn't come out like we expected, but we thank the city for allowing us to work through that. But I also want to go back to the issue that you all talked about the ballpark. And this is not to discuss bad, good, or whatever. It's just that I think when we are talking about solutions for the city, there's plenty of space, in other parts of the city that we need to consider, especially when people are fighting and calling people names and all the kind of discussion about land use. Those ballparks have been there for a while, and if you're going to repair them, repair them. But there's extra space over on the north side, and for some reason it's not discussed. There can be two new ball fields put over there, and join them to the one that's already there, or we can take and expand those and make two out of those, because the space is there. I showed that to the mayor when he was out there. But there's plenty of space over there that we can use to, for extra parking space for ball fields. If they have an extra, do a tournament or something like that, they can come to that area. The fields are in very good shape. You just maybe need to cut out some sides and make an extra field out there. But there's plenty of room over there. There's plenty of property, plenty of parking spots over there. And it's sad to say that, people are coming with all kinds of bad attitudes about something that, maybe we're not in control of. But at the same time, we need to look at the entire city for doing projects. I know one time we talked about Pickle Park. We got courts out there that's not being used. So I think we need to put those to use. And I think if the city come and look at it a little bit closer, maybe we can address the county and they can help us out by looking at those places also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Anyone else from the public? Mr. Hoffman, since you're new, I'm going to start with you tonight.
Well, thank you. I only have a couple things. First, thank you for being here again. It's important that you have a voice, even when the voice is from this end of the table is not really saying what you want to hear. It's important that you hear. Part of this, the way I look at it is you entrust upon your friends and family to kind of guide you and keep you in check, but you also need that response from the citizens. And I heard that tonight. I know that some are happy with the ball field, some are not happy. Some I had the opportunity to speak to, so that makes the ones I didn't speak to upset. And I understand that, and I'll take that as it goes. I wanted to thank Commissioner Buzzette once again for the service that he has done. And I want to touch base on what Chester was saying. The Juneteenth celebration, if you missed it this year, plan on being there next year. It's like a history lesson, and I enjoyed it, but it was way too hot. So we have to get that fixed. The other item, and really the only other item I have is, and I'm gonna need some guidance on how we do this, but I want to see us set up a workshop in the very near future. And the workshop will be to discuss the Triumph funding. I went and met with Jason Schoaf the other day because I had a lot of questions about Triumph funding. Mainly I wanted to know, do we have to have the approval and blessing of the county? And because that's what I was hearing. Well, it turns out we do not have to have the approval. There is a box on the application that says, do you have the support, or has the county approved it? Well, there's already been money given to other municipalities in the area where that box was not checked. So let's not feel like we're at a dead end when the county is not going to support maybe what the city would like to do. So that was the key thing that I learned from Jason. And then I learned that there are areas that infrastructure is being utilized with Triumph funding. So we just heard and held a workshop on moving in the direction of supporting the idea of revitalizing and working on MLK. So that kind of stuck in my mind, you know, right off the bat. Well, there's a lot of opportunities and ideas of where we could spend this money, but we all must agree that everyone's going to want to spend the money in a different area. So Jason told me that when he was working on this program, one of the things he identified and successfully lobbied our local legislative body was he pointed out that some of the smaller towns, we can't afford just to get started. The city doesn't have the funding to start the program. Well, they took care of that. They have authorized up to $200,000, I believe is the number he quoted me, and it's kind of like an admin startup fund. So these smaller municipalities can hire an individual to be their spokesperson, their point person, the liaison for the city, and that person would be tasked with looking at projects and how to fill out the application and know right off hand, or at least have an insight to, would this project or idea be fundable? Does it have a chance of being accepted? Well, I can assure you, if we don't ask for the money, you will not get any money. So I'm in favor of moving forward and identifying maybe the person that the city feels comfortable in hiring as that admin person, and then that person can report back to the city council and to the citizens of the city and say, well, here's the person or the group that we may want to work with. There's different groups that are already doing this for the area. We're like the only area that's not doing it. So if we find a firm or a group that we feel comfortable in working with, and I've already heard that there's a group out of Louisiana that has been extremely successful in working with some of the smaller municipalities. So I want to hear about that group in particular. So in order to do these things, I asked Jason, I said, well, we need your knowledge, we need your presentation to the city, aside from the county. Now, if I had my way, I would just say, don't worry about the box. We just don't get the bonus point on the application, because I don't think that the county is going to support this idea. So that's fine. We'll just move as a city body and focus on Triumph funding. And I think that the place that we would start is by setting up a workshop, inviting the Triumph people, including Jason, who's our local contact person, and move forward in that direction.
Love it.
Don't have a problem at all with that.
Can I throw something at him on that?
Sure.
Statement. Basically, we did talk with the client fund for the Martin Luther King development. And our application was about the 4th out of 114. So we put in a great application. At that time, they had not filtered out all the T's and dots and so forth and so on. And they have not turned us down as of yet. However, they did ask the county to support us. We didn't get that support. And at that time, it was very important that just to say what we were doing was important enough that they would say, quote unquote, we put our name behind what the Project Area Coalition is doing. So our application now has to be revamped to show impact. And like I said, we have talked with them, 6, 7 times. And they have agreed that we need to come back and redo it again. So they have agreed that they will work with us. Now, when we do this, we definitely going to need the city support. I talked to Ashbrook about it earlier. We got the city. It's the county that we needed just to have those little points. They have certain points that they require that you have. And if the county putting their signature on something is an extra point for us to go forward. So the money is there, 1.5. They are looking at some of the small areas, but it has to be something that we go through the city and the county.
Thanks, Justin. Anything else, Commissioner?
That's all I have.
We want to go ahead, we want to let staff work up, seeing what, when Triumph people could get with us maybe as far as when we can set that up.
If we figure out a date that when they're available, then we'll try to set it up.
Yeah, we also got to figure out what we want to do project-wise.
Well, I think step one is to hear it straight from Jason on this startup money. If it is in fact, and I heard him correctly, that we can actually identify a person that we feel comfortable with as being our point person. And I think we'll find out the county's already done that. The city just has not done it.
Scott, your first day on the job, you just created a new job. Congratulations.
Yeah, we do have a workshop scheduled next Tuesday. We want to reach out to Mr. Shope to see if he could be here maybe 5 or 5:30. Do y'all want to try to, while you have one scheduled next Tuesday, or is that too soon, too late?
I mean, I think it's going to take some time, but if he just wants to give us a briefing on what you just talked about, I think we could do that in 30 minutes.
Okay. I'll see if he's available next Tuesday. If not, then we'll try to schedule him later.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. That's it, sir?
That's it.
All right, Commissioner Larry.
I don't have anything.
Commissioner Ashbrook.
Mayor, I'm just going to welcome our newest commissioner. You seem very energetic and ready to roll, and I'm impressed with the research, going out there, putting boots on the ground and talking to folks that are impacted. I love it. Hopefully it's catchy. We'll all get it. But that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Commissioner Owens.
I'd just like to say, reiterate on Juneteenth. I'd like to thank Pat for putting it together. I wish it could have been more people there, but it was a great thing that you put on, and I really like the different stages or the different places where you can go and get information about health care. The police officers were there. The several stages that you can go to and get some information, and it also talked about our history, So I just like to tell the Pat to keep up the good work, keep working hard. I appreciate you guys.
That's it. Jim, I only got one thing, and I guess I directed it to you, but we've been working on the sidewalks on David Langston Drive for a long time. We were promised that they would come in 17. Now things have been pushed back to this year. But I know this paper you gave me. Can you maybe call that number that's on here and ask them maybe when they think we might be getting those? But we need them bad. We needed them when we built the road. But they did say they are approved, but when are they going to do it? That's the biggest question. That's what people have been asking me lately. When are they going to put the sidewalks in? So if you would, don't mind trying to call that. Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thanks. All right, and I appreciate people being here tonight. Thank you very much. And I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.